meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akim Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by MuscleMeds. MuscleMeds is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolates. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am Jon Andersen. With me always my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akim Williams. Unfortunately, Akim is on the way to India to do some guest appearances. He won't be here today, but it doesn't matter because we have got a guest for you, let me tell you. We have got an exciting guest for you today. This guy is one of my favorite ever bodybuilders for a number of reasons. Number one, he just fucking crushed shit for over a decade. If there was a big contest and he was there, he was in the mix. If he wasn't winning, the motherfucker. The second thing is this guy was fucking strong. And we're talking not just strong. We are talking fucking cock strong. He's moving weights around most people would dream about. And then finally, my favorite reason is because this dude was the bad boy of bodybuilding, the rock star of bodybuilding, partying all night, showing up to a contest and still winning the motherfucker. Chris Comeir, the real deal. Welcome to the show. What's going down, my brother?
What's up, baby? How you doing, brother?
Oh, man, I'm really excited. I'm so excited to have you on the show, brother. You've been one of my favorites from the jump, man. I got to tell you. You know, the way that you were able to do what you did was amazing. But then when you look a little deeper and you see, you know, what you were doing while you were actually at the top, fucking amazing, bro. I know in your movie you talked about there was a couple of year period where you were really in partying deep, but you were still winning 3 shows a year, which is absolutely crazy. So, you know, everybody knows you're a legend, you're a Hall of Famer, you're one of the top. But what I don't think people quite understand is that you were burning the candle on both sides. So let's start off talking. There was a few years where you were partying like every day, most of the week, and still winning.
It was. Thanks for having me on the show, by the way. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah. So, yeah, the only thing with that is like it wasn't my entire career or anything like that, but it was a strong 2 years from 99, 2000, 2001 that, you know, things were a little hairy, you know, to say the least. And it was
and you were winning the Ironmans at this point too. You were winning you won the Ironman 4 years in a row.
Oh yeah.
You were
most killing
it.
Most deaf. And I was just mad at the end that I didn't do it more while I was here because, you know, on that stage, you know, it really brought out the most of my physique. And even though I didn't win the Olympia, it was a lot of Olympian winners that I beat in that Ironman show. Yeah. You know, from Ronnie to Jay, Dexter. They all placed behind me in that Ironman show before. So that's one thing I wish I would have did more of. I actually saw John Balick this past weekend at the expo here in San Diego. So I took a photo with him, and that was you know, we were just talking about the old times because he would never make me sign a contract to show up at a show. I just called him on the phone and say, John, I'm coming to the show. He said, all right, I'll see you there. And then I'll jump out there and go down there and kick some ass and come back.
So I believe it was the Ironman. You won, obviously, and you're giving a little speech afterwards, and you're telling everybody, hey, I know everybody knows that I party and have fun, but I also work hard. Then you went into talking about you were going to go basically start off the Cheesecake Factory. I think you said you were going to You were going to run the city. You were going to hit all the clubs in the city. So real quick, kind of help us understand, because there's people that they go have fun. And then there's people that have a little more fun. And then there's the Chris Cormiers that are just blowing the top off of the night. So help us understand here. I mean, because obviously you talked about, partying. There's a lot of levels of partying. You talked about alcohol. You talked about drugs. You even talked about having a Nubian issue. So tell me, you win a contest. Describe the next 12, maybe 24 hours.
That depends if I won or lost. If I,
give us a loss.
Let's say, for instance, like right after the show, even before the show, it'd be like 20 to 30 people in my room, and this is getting ready for the show. It's guys and girls there. Some people are partying, some people are posing, some people are showing their physique or whatever. We getting dressed to go out for the night. But I'd be in an entourage of 20 people on an average until things settled down. But it was at least 20 people around me on the average when I would go. But let's say at the Mandalay Bay, after the show, I was very happy, 1999. But getting ready for the show, and I was flying to Vegas every weekend up until 5 weeks out, just to go out there and dance and just start getting on the stage and controlling the crowd, doing a little dancing, a little posing, pants to my ankles, shirt off, that type of thing, and that was like a norm for me, So a lot of times if people saw me out, I was probably in my underwear at most of these clubs around the world, not just in America. It was just my thing, Look at it.
And you're partying for like a couple of days here sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's not you're not going out for the night. I mean, you're loading up and you're fucking going for it.
That was my release. That was my release, man, because I had a lot of pressure on me. I mean, people don't understand the pressure you put on yourself personally, but then you have fans that's putting pressure. They want to see you do well. You got sponsors that want to see you do well, and that pushed you to compete. Sometimes I didn't want to compete, but I had to compete. I was invited to the Arnold Classic. I was invited, I was qualified for the Olympia. So every 6 months, I'm doing 5 or 6 shows. I'm doing 10 shows a year. So people who think I didn't win the Olympia because I had partied. No, that's not the reason. If you want to put the fact that I was actually really burning my candle at both ends, to where I couldn't really have a lot of downtime. So I wanted release in my mind to be free of no thoughts, of no care in the world, just having a good time, and that's the way I was doing it. And I was, I'd go from, let's say after Arnold Classic, I stopped going to the after party banquet thing they have for the Arnold. I just go straight to the club. Sometimes I have my posing trunks on because I know I'm taking these pants off and I know I'm taking this shirt off. So I just go, I just get the color off and get my ass to the club. And then as soon as I get to the club, no drink, nothing. Just as soon as I hit the door, I'm up on the stage and I got my clothes off and I'm just doing my thing. I mean, a lot of times I see like Ronnie in the audience. I see Ronnie at the club, and Ronnie he was sitting there like, damn, boy, you are killing me, bro, cracking me up right now. But I had a couple of after parties that Ronnie and all the crew, different bodybuilders went there and stuff. And, back then, people were pretty free. A lot of the chicks that I was with in my group, they're in there topless at the show, at the party, whether it's a club or a house party. You'll see, like I say, I was just free living, and
I mean, you're winning show to show, and you're winning. It's hard to argue with your formula. You know what I mean? Living in that moment, what are you going to say?
How do you turn it off? Yeah. How do you turn that off when you're having a good time? You're collecting checks. you're going from, you're like, one day I'm here. Oh, I want to fly to Amsterdam tomorrow, something like that. And I go hang out in Amsterdam for a few months, or Australia for a few months. I was in even Ireland for a few months. For a couple of years, I've done that too. But I've been, at the time I was just going with whatever. And that was, as soon as I'm done with a competition, I'm just want to be out of my mind for a little bit, just to break out the monotony of the constant training. There've been a lot of times, a lot of holidays where I was in contest form fully, to where I have no holiday. I just buy whatever's necessary to treat or with the presents. Daddy's in the gym,
Yeah.
When I became a father, everything was like right in the middle. I remember getting ready for the '98 Olympia. And I was just about to walk out the door to go and compete, and I was in Madison Square Garden. And I just about to walk out the door. That's like when the phone would ring in the hotel room. You would pick it up, like back in those days. So I picked up the hotel cell phone, the phone, and I pick it up and say, "Hey," they say, "I'm pregnant, and you're gonna be a father. 9 months from now." 9 months from that phone call, he came exactly the day that the doctor said. And
wow.
So yeah, so I was like, hold on, I gotta get you out. I'll talk to you later. So I went down to compete I took sixth in at Olympia. Left straight from there. We went straight to the clubs, and I'm like really in Limelight. We're in Exit. We were going and bouncing around the different clubs in New York. Sound Factory is my favorite in New York. That was my absolute favorite. And so I left there, and I remember I was in one of the clubs, and I was like, man, I gotta get going, guys. I gotta go. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and everyone was like, no, like, stay, man. Like, we still got some more partying to do. I said, I got a photo shoot to do. So I was like literally late for my photo shoot. I'm in the club. So I took a cab to the hotel and grabbed some things, and they were already waiting outside the hotel. That was with Brian Moss, and he was like one of the top creative photographers back, when I was competing. So they were waiting out there with an RV. So I jumped in the RV, still filming the night before, and went straight to a photo shoot in which I was, falling asleep in between takes. Sometimes falling asleep listening to him to see what we're going to do next. We had changed all the different costumes and stuff. So I was just like falling asleep the whole day. So I'll just have my eyes closed, and then I'd open them, and then everyone's looking at me. Like I'm totally asleep, like right in the middle of the whole photo shoot. There was some great shots though, but I pulled it off. But man, it was just like that,
That's crazy, brother. I know during this time, especially in your documentary, you talked about, obviously there was a lot of partying and drugs, and you talked about Nubian and some different stuff that was going on during that time. How do you feel this stuff? How do you feel that it helped you or hurt you, so to speak, when you were competing? Obviously,
I mean, it just I would just say, when you're a bodybuilder, when you're a competitive person, you're taking things for everything. You're taking things to get bigger, taking things to get leaner, taking things to get stronger. You're taking things for pain. So it was nothing different to me from what I was. This is what I got to do, and I got to do it. Whatever I got to do, I'm gonna do what I got to do, because this is my goal, and this is what I signed up for, is to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
And it just so happens that some of those substances made for a great party.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So So then I was just like, between that And, you know, coming off the drugs of a competition itself can leave you a little, sorry about that, my kids. So it would leave you, some of those things would leave you, oh my God.
No worries, brother. Don't sweat it. We all got lives to deal. We all got lives to deal with, you know.
That's baby mama calling through too. That's the one who called me on the phone when I was going to go to compete.
She made a cameo appearance just in time.
She's still doing it. Shit.
Both of them.
You're still doing it
again.
That's I love it.
That's good stuff.
Keeper to keeper.
Oh, that's good shit, man. So you were saying that sometimes the drugs coming off a competition.
Yeah, you're getting depressed. You want to feel better, but you know, a lot of bodybuilders went through things. They don't really talk about it. I know, but I'm sure I share the same sentiment. A lot of competitive sport categories. They probably experienced this stuff, you know. So it was like, I think for the most point, I would get up to 290 some pounds in between shows, and I think at that time I'm more relaxed because I only have like a month of relaxation before I get ready, before it's time to start getting ready to give it up for another show. And a lot of these shows, like I said, I didn't want to do, but I had to do because I had this. I was with Weider at the time, and I was just starting to leave Weider, and I was just starting to go with Muscle Tech. They were courting me, and you know, taking me out to lunch and doing whatever special little things they could do to get my attention, to be like, hey man, we want to sign you, and we're real serious about it. So I started adding stuff on the cart for if you really want me, how about if you really want me, throwing these first class seats. If you really want me, give me 4 years instead of that one, you know, that type of thing. So a lot of that, but as far as putting on more mass in that small, I never really had an off season. So I think that was the biggest thing that kept me from progressing even more so. And also the style of training I was doing. I'm doing like 525 on the incline for about 2 reps. I was doing like 500 for 4, but on a day, on like every time I went to the gym for chest or something like that, I wasn't maxing out, but I was definitely going pretty heavy, you know, 200-pound dumbbells and stuff like that.
You were moving around
that
big
was one
weights.
of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah. I mean, they're strong.
I love that.
Strong, and then they're strong. I mean, you got professional strength athletes that would make those claims, and you were bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know?
So I was so like when we did a lift, myself and Rico McClendon and Flex Wheeler, we would half the gym, half the room, most of the room, and half of the other room would be watching that lift, because back in those days, you know, people did those type of lifts in the Gold's Gym. People wanted to see it. They wanted to witness it, you know. And that was basically every time we went into the gym, it was something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, brother, I'll tell you, man, your story is amazing, because most people, obviously myself as a bodybuilder, I play by all the rules, man. I'm going to sleep on time. I'm in bed by 8 o'clock. I do all the things necessary, and you couldn't even come close to it. You know what I mean?
And I still can't sleep, though. But I used to bounce. I was a bouncer at Roxbury, so that's when the whole thing with the Tyson and the whole everything happened with him, and the whole. He came through there with his little
Tell
bullshit.
us that story, bro. Tell us that story. That's a good one, man. The Mike Tyson story.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to tell us the Mike Tyson story.
Oh man, this is like 1992. I was training for the Mr. USA for those periods of time. I was around 24 years old. And I came out of, I got introduced to him that day because his whole crew came in there, and it was about maybe 20 guys with him. And his neck was like this. And it was like, I remember he was sitting there, and it was like a line of girls. And back then, everyone had a little black book back in the 90s. But this guy had a yellow pad, those yellow pad like this. He got like a little black book. It's a true story, dude. It's a true story. And it was a whole line of girls out the VIP room waiting in line to give him his phone number, and contact information. So I know for a fact this guy never raped anybody. That's for damn sure, for one. They were throwing it at him. He didn't have to, So
yeah.
So then I went to. It was the club was over. I was there, standing by his limo. He had a limousine, 2 Harley Davidsons, and a Rolls Royce, all caravan. All his people was in it, and obviously he wasn't in the vehicle yet, but I was standing by it. And then this girl was telling me, "Hey, you slept." He said, "Hey, I can't believe you work for this guy. He's a fucking asshole." And I was just telling her, I don't work for Mike Tyson. I work for the club. I work at Roxbury. And then as soon as I said that, slapped me from the back of the head. Boom. And his hands, I'm telling you right now, is hard as nails. Like his hands are no joke. So, and my brother, and I was close enough to my one brother. That was like one of my pet peeves in life, is to get slapped in the back of the head, because my brother did that to me all the time when we grew up. So when that happened, I just got full of rage, and was probably some Trenbolone at the time, Parabon at the time, in there, mixed in there too. And I turned around and was like, "Motherfucker," like that. And it was Mike Tyson. So if you can understand what that must feel like to turn around.
Oh my God!
Like,
oh
wait
yeah!
a minute.
So, yeah,
breaks.
Yeah, yeah. You can't think of a worse person. You cannot think of a worse person.
But
I'm
on that small list of people that probably said that too.
Survived.
And then, and I'll tell you exactly what happened. He said this. He goes, he told me to do it. Talking about a guy next to him, but he had this high pitched voice. You understand?
Yeah.
He told me to do it, and then and I looked. I said, "This motherfucker," and it was like I was just raging. I just wanted something, right? And so it was a little Italian guy next to him, and he looked at him. He looked at Mike like me, like that, right? And then he goes, "Well, what you want to do?" And then he started coming at me like this, right?
Oh,
well, what you want to do? Like this, and I'm going, "Holy fuck!" So I'm like, So I'm like, in my mind, I'm saying this shit, right? I'm like, "Fuck." So then I'm like backing up, but I'm like, okay, we about to do this. This is happening right now, right? And Rico was like over yonder a little bit. Flex was like over here, but it was a bunch of his guys here. And this is Mike, and it was me. And I'm backing up, and I'm like, okay. So people started coming in between us. And I was just like, and people were like, "Oh, you want to press charges? Do you want to press charges?" Everybody's seen him do it, and like that. And I was just like, I said, "I don't want to press no fucking charges. I just want to get a lick back. I just want to get something back, I just want to get off right now. I just want to get something off. I don't care about. I probably would have got a few $100,000 on that one, because I'm telling you, dog, he hit me with a lot of. It was a lot of shit behind that slap, dude. I was like, dude. But the thing is, at the time, I was so pissed, and I was still mad, even throughout the week. I remember telling my mother about it. I was like, Mom, I was like, I said, this is not over. Like, I need to. We gotta have a discussion. Something's gotta happen. Something. And I remember her just saying, just be careful and, don't lose your mind. Just, think things through. And so I got my buddy, Rico, and a few guys that I worked with at the club. And we decided the next weekend we was going to go look for Mike. So we went to go. look for Mike Tyson.
Oh my God. That's a great idea.
Let's go look for Mike Tyson. That's what we need to do.
There's so few people on the planet who would go look for Mike Tyson.
Oh my God.
We're going to go look for Mike. Let's go settle this shit. Right? So we go down to Larry Parker's down in this is in Beverly Hills. Because everyone used to go there after the clubs. So it was about four or five of us. I don't remember exactly, but we go into Larry Parker's. He's not there. We're getting some food. So they start. So he comes in, and they started playing like his fights and greatest hits or whatever. Mike Tyson was on the thing. So we see him. And then okay, we're going to start antagonizing this guy, right? So they showed the one where he got hit and his mouthpiece comes out and he's trying to humble on the ground to pick up the mouthpiece. Yeah. They're showing that on the screen. So we just laughing at the top of our lungs, like, laughing at the screen, like we laughing at him for getting knocked down, right? And then we turn around and look at him. Like, yeah, we laughing at you, right? And then he goes, shit happens. Like that. He just said, like, shit happens. And so he started to walk to go to the bathroom. And it was some people we knew that was in his crew there was this one girl that we knew that her job was just to buy condoms. That was her job. Keep his condom shit stacked. She got paid for that shit. And my buddy Rico knew her. And then it was just different little characters he would have with him, but I'm sure they're all getting paid some kind of way. But he walked by our table, and my buddy goes, Rico goes, "Hey man, why you slapped my homeboy like that in the head last week at the club?" And he's like, "Oh, he's a big guy. He could take it." Like that, right? And so I kind of took that as an apology and shit. I was like, well, he apologized. I was a little bigger than he was at the time, but the funny thing, I've been introduced to him like a few times, and he never seemed to remember who I was. Like, every time I meet him, like, motherfucker, you know me. You can't say you see this face that many times and you don't recognize that same person.
Well, check this out, brother. Check this out. So you're named the real deal because you look like Evander Holyfield. So imagine Mike slaps you and slaps this big black guy. You turn around and it's like, fuck, Evander gained 100 pounds. What the fuck am I going to do now?
Yeah.
It was probably that brief second where he was thinking, oh my God, I'm in fucking trouble here, man.
Oh, man. So I took that as an apology, but years later, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, what the hell was I thinking, though, right?
Brother, there's
like I say, I'm on a short list of people that I'm sure that can tell that type of story.
Yeah, brother, I was going to say, there's so few people on the planet that would try to go find Mike Tyson.
I can't believe you did that.
Oh man.
So let's go get him, man.
That's fucking crazy shit right there, brother. That is crazy shit. Oh my God.
Good story, man.
Yeah. So this was all in that time period where you're just kind of like the rock star of the bodybuilding. You're winning contests. Everything is just crushing for you. I know when you were really partying, there was a period where you actually overdosed. I believe you said you overdosed on cocaine. And you felt like you almost died.
Yeah, that was in the year 2000 something, but it was crazy, man. It was because like you say, there's depression, there's all kinds of things mixing up with, your newly father, all these different things, and I mean somehow I got myself to go with this chick I was dating. We had went to some AA meetings and some stuff like that. And then once I admitted I had a situation, I had a problem, then I was like, oh, I got to deal with this shit, because my mom was even like, my mom and dad was like trying to be supportive, but it was like, every time they asked me, hey, you got a situation? I was like, no, I don't have a situation. Like, that's one of the worst things I wanted to tell my mother, but she could see right through that stuff. And actually, before she passed, she actually told me all the different stuff that she knew, but she didn't. She was just trying to let me walk through it and get through it the best way she knew how. But she just didn't want to but she knew a lot of stuff that I was doing or did. And, sometimes it'd be a party at my house and, it's there's a bunch of people all around partying for days at my house at a time. But my parents had a key, so she walked in on like twice. On everything going on, So yeah,
wow.
So I don't even know why, but they live really close. I had moved them up there so they can help me with my cooking and my cleaning and my my everyday things that they can do as parents. And they were very supportive. And it was just it was a crazy time. But I got past that point, and then everything died down, and then there was less people around each year. It'd be smaller and smaller group, and then I finished on my career when it was like totally under control. But it was for a time. It was a good 20 people from around the world would be in my group of people that I hung out with. And that's the thing, is like people who are special people, you got to make sure you're keeping special people around you, because a lot of times, and some of those group of people, there were good people, and there were good people in their own right, to where we're still friends to this day, that I met just like on a whim, going to a party and say, yo, come on, let's hang out. And we still like really close friends to this day. Buddy of mine, Shane O'Hearn, like I met just like that. And we still like such really close to this day. And he lived in Texas, but we'd be going through New Orleans, going through Texas, doing the whole deal there, And how New Orleans is like, they're looking for a reason to party in New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
I'd see my, I went out there and I partied a few times, or guest posed a few times out there. But yeah, at the time, it's like, you think you're invincible anyway. So, nothing's gonna hurt what I'm trying to do. But the only thing I wish I would have done is like kept some of the people that clearly didn't have any type of goal in life to be an extra special person, and allowed them to be close enough to affect me in some type of way. That's one thing I do regret out of the whole thing, But when I got to the show, it was only a couple of times that that it was pretty stupid to even partake in stuff like I did right before the show. Sometimes I remember one time I was in a strip club just because I didn't have I ate all my food and I had nothing else to do. It was still like so early. I'm like, I'll just go to a strip club. And then all these fans were in there. What are you doing here? You should be resting. I'm like, dude, I'm chilling. I'm resting. I'm fine. I was just want to check out the local talent. I'm here in Chicago competing in Olympia, and I just want to check out the local talent. you know. So it was
wow.
I love
like
Could
that.
you imagine? Now, here's the question: could you imagine going through this period with cell phones the way we have them now?
No,
man.
or social media,
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God!
I definitely probably wouldn't have made it through that period, but you know what though? The funny thing is, we had our ways to communicate and do things without all that stuff. It's just that whatever, and think about it, we used to remember all the cell phone numbers. I mean, all the phone numbers in our head.
Yeah.
Now we can't remember our own family members' phone number.
Yeah.
Just because it's so easy just to do that, you know? So, and what about the emergency breakthrough? We had the emergency breakthrough back in the day.
Yeah.
Somebody breaking through your line.
Yeah.
You know? That wouldn't work.
God. Oh my God.
No.
Yeah, different.
Remember emergency breakthrough?
Very well.
I
mean, too well.
So
that's
yeah.
Good shit.
Oh and I know this guy, and then and I had a wrestling career. I went to Cal State Bakersfield. I love wrestling still to this day. I love wrestling so much to watch it, and even if you could do move around a little bit, but also play football. This guy can tell you that.
Yes, you did. You were not a lot of fun to tackle. He's a hell of a running back.
Yeah, man. Strong safety, fullback. You know.
You were bodybuilding through all this too, and because you went to college for football and I believe wrestling also,
and
but
wrestling,
you were bodybuilding the whole time. Yeah, so you were developing your craft as a bodybuilder pretty much from the time you were a teen.
Time. Yeah, because my high school teacher, when I was like 15, thought it'd be a good idea if I tried bodybuilding. She thought I had a good body and a good frame that I could probably put some good muscle on and be this bodybuilder guy. And I was like, really? You think so? But I was actually shy also. So it was like, I didn't know how I was going to get on stage and take off all my clothes at the time. But then it was just like, I went to the show, just like 1983. I went to the show just to watch it at Palm Springs High. And Mike Christian was a guest poser. And that was the first bodybuilder that I saw that I was like, oh, man, I want to be like this, you know? Then Bob Birdsong actually lived in Palm Springs. Rachel McLeish lived in Palm Springs also. That's where I saw Matt Mendenhall. He was in Palm Springs all at the same time, but I didn't get close to these people, but I had short little conversations with these people. But that's when I was like, I went to College of the Desert and played 2 years there, and I made the All-State JC team for strong safety, and then I was just like, I want to be this bodybuilder. I stood up right out of class and left and never went back. And,
no shit.
Yeah, I was in business. I was in business law class, and I remember I was in business law class, and I was writing down Mr. US, Mr. Teenager California, Mr. Teenage National Champion, Mr. USA, Mr. Olympia. And I remember I was looking at the list of Mr. Olympias and competitions I wanted to win. And I just looked at the door and I got up and I just left and never went back and moved to Venice. And then that's what I was going to be doing.
And that was it. Bam.
That was it.
Jesus.
I'm out. I'm going to go do this like that. And I just set my mind to it.
And then the chapter of Chris Comeir, the bodybuilder, starts and just got bigger and better the whole time, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. It's funny because you say what was stopping you from bodybuilding originally was taking your clothes off. Well, fast forward 10 years, you're on the stage, and then you don't even take your trunks off. You just rinse off and go to the club and as you put your the pants around your ankles. You got past that fear real good, brother.
Yeah. Go figure that, huh?
Oh man, that's crazy. So I got a question.
Just throw myself in the fire enough that it won't bother me to not show how shy I really am, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how it happened.
So let's go back. Quick question. So you said there was a couple times where you were, your mom keyed into your house, and obviously there's parties going on. So what does she open the door to see? Naked people running around and people drinking and doing blow and all sorts of shit. It was just like, did she actually make it in the house, or did she just kind of close the door?
Well, someone knocked on my door, and I'm like laying in bed. They're like, "Hey, your mom is here." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, so I go outside, and my mother's like, she's leaning on the rail like this. And I go outside, and I'm like, and she's like, Chris, what kind of life are you living? I remember she said that. What kind of life are you living? Like, is this what you like? She was just like, "What are you doing, man?" Like, I said, "Ma," I said, "You can't just come in." It's like it's just my private house, and I'm whatever. But she was just like, man, she was just like, the hell?
How many people were in there?
And my dad, I remember my dad was like, how many people would be there?
Yeah, how many people did she walk into? Was it like 25, 30 people?
Yeah, probably like 14, 15, 20.
So, rocking the house, baby. Rocking the house.
All over the house.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my Lord. Oh,
yeah, that happened. And I remember it was some days. I remember when I left that situation and I went to go guest pose, but I just spent 3-4 days awake, and then I went to sleep. And when I woke up, just enough time to catch my plane to make it to Colorado one time. And I remember making it to my hotel room, but when you get startled out of your sleep, you just wake up. I remember waking up and I didn't know where I was, why I was, where was I supposed to go, at what time, who was picking me up. I didn't know anything. So I was just like, holy shit. So I started to call around to find out all this information, like what am I supposed to be doing and all this type of stuff. So it's like I said, this was a strong 2-year period. This wasn't throughout my whole career.
Yeah, it was kind of a
wasn't at the end, but that 2-year period, it was nuts, man. Like, and then the different times I'd compete before the show and after the show, there's at least 20, 30 people in my room, at least.
Because you had mentioned that during that 2 to 3 or 2-year period, or that period of time, that sometimes you would be high 4 days out of the week, but yet you're still winning shows. You're still winning shows during this period.
I was a beast. I was a beast still. I was still like, but I knew, but I felt like I knew when to stop, and I know when to chill, and to this one I need to focus, and I was able to switch it. And I was like, boom, I got to get to work. I got to do this. I had I got the Arnold Classic coming up, and here I am 10 weeks out. I got or whatever, 12 weeks out, 14 weeks out. I spent that whole month or whatever, relaxing, shopping. Every month I'm tightening up the wardrobe and tightening up the, I got to be ready. So I'm buying like 6 outfits every month, head to toe outfit every month, 6 of them.
Get the Louis Vuitton going, all that good stuff.
Yeah, got the Louis Vuitton going, with the whole Rolex thing going, and the whole just living it, But it wasn't the smart way. I should have been investing in stuff. But then when I tried to invest in stuff, I got railroaded by people. I had this lady trying to take care of the money. She's trying to be the accountant. I'm trying to get. I was about to try to get into this restaurant deal. That guy turned out to be a gambling degenerate. That I was. Oh no! I was about to. Yeah. So that was in Vegas when I was living in Vegas for a short time. And man, living in Vegas, boy, that was hard on me at that time, because I was like, shit. That's like. I was waking up at 2:30 every day. Going to sleep at 5, waking up at 2:30, 2:33. My whole clock was just ass backwards in Vegas.
Oh,
yeah, you got to be very disciplined if you live here to not get.
Yeah, you got to.
You can walk out the door any time of the day, 24 hours a day.
You could be in your house.
Find trouble to get into.
Southern Highlands. Southern Highlands.
Oh,
right
okay.
There.
Yeah.
So I was living in Southern Highlands, but you can go get into whatever you want to get into. It's still like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You'll be into anything, you know. But
right down the freeway.
Yeah. So
nice.
That's why I lived out there. But it was, and then I lost a lot of money out there in Vegas with that whole interest situation they had, you know, with all the different homes. A lot of people losing their homes out there. So that was migrated back to California. But I had like a 5-bed. The house was too big. I should have went smaller. You know, this is you know, and that's you know, and Titus was my training partner through some of these.
He surely wasn't going to keep you on the straight and narrow.
No.
But then I swear, there's a lot of pros that was trying to go that route, and I was like, no, you're not going to go that route around me. They were trying to ask me, hey, man, you know, they wanted to hang out, they wanted to do this or that, and I was like, no, man, I'm not going to be the one to show you nothing. Not me. So you got to go somewhere else if that's what you're trying to do, because that's one thing about me. I was never trying to hurt anybody or anyone's situation or dreams or whatever. So I didn't want to be a part of that. So a lot of people got turned away. That's kind of stuff you never hear because people don't really talk about that stuff. But I was even people that trained with me and whatever, I was nothing but a positive influence on their life.
That's cool, man. That's really cool, brother. Yeah. Really cool. So check this out. There's been a lot of times, a lot of people have said over the course of your career that, you know, that they'd seen you come into the hotel early morning.
Judges.
The day of the show. Yeah.
The damn judges.
So here's the question. How many shows
the judges literally
you stay up all night and then literally just not go to sleep and go to the show? How many shows did you do that way?
Couple. It was a couple. One was the Olympia. I ended up taking third, and one was won the show in San Francisco. And the only reason.
Well, it's really unusual, but it clearly works for you.
The only reason in San Francisco, because I ate so much in between shows. We were on a tour, and I was like 270 some pounds, and I had to compete the next day. And I was like, oh shit! I was like, I'm not going to sleep. I'm just gonna do whatever I got to do to lose as much weight as possible. Whatever, you know.
But this is,
and I ended up winning the show, and then went right back to hanging out as soon as the show was over. But I won the show, and I took third in the show. That's the time that I can say those two times. It was definitely not what I'd recommend, but that's what happened.
Well, brother, you made it work. And let me just make sure I got this straight. You said one of these was Mr. Olympia, the biggest show on the planet. You didn't go to sleep. You got your competitors are all taking 2-3 days of doing nothing but trying to dial in, and you're out partying the night before. You stroll in, you had 5, 6 in the morning to the hotel, clean yourself up, and go to prejudging. This is crazy, and that's literally how it went.
That's how it went.
Dude,
that's how it went.
That's insane. That's insane. I mean, it's just crazy the fact that it was actually possible, you know, because you think of now, especially now with the protocols and all the things that the guys go through to get to that place they need to be. Hell, man, your place was in a strip club until 4 a.m. the night before the Olympia.
But like I said, people, it's from that 99 to So, man, it was just crazy. And then, like I said, it was there was so many guys and there was so many girls around, and there was so many people around that was like, you know, some people not here anymore, you know, obviously, but it was like, it was a roller coaster, man. It was like, but I remember sometimes some people would be like, Chris, like, what are you doing? Like, I remember Dorian called me into his room one time. He was in Vegas, and he was like, don't. He was like, and that's when I started calming down. When he was like, you don't want to be that guy in a rocking chair wondering what if I would have did this differently, or what if I would have done that differently. You have what it takes to be anything you want to be. And he was telling me you just need to get the right training, the right atmosphere, the right everything, and you can do it all, you know. And that's when things started clicking. It was all around the same time. He called me into his room, and that was still like the night he called me into his room. It was only him in his room. He had a huge room in Vegas. I remember I was like looking at the clock, like, shit, I'm supposed to be at the fucking club right now, and I'm in here talking to Dorian about the shit I shouldn't be doing. I'm like, what?
God.
I'm like,
oh my God.
You get a pep talk.
I'm like, yeah, and yeah, I should be, because we were trying to plan on me coming to train with him in England, and we was like, okay, we're gonna make it happen. And then when I was like, okay, this is the year, I'm gonna, you know, gonna put all in. I'm gonna go, and even Mr. Manning was asking me, hey man, he's like, you should go and train with Dorian. And Jim Manning does nothing but gave me the best advice or talks, you know, of my career, to where he was like, you know, he really showed that he wanted the best for me, and he cared about what was transpiring. You know, I remember one time I just stayed out, and I was in Texas, and we were walking into the show, and he was like, I said, what are you gonna be a rock and roll star? Or you want to be a bodybuilder? Which is it, Chris? Like that. And I remember it like struck me like, damn, like he's really looking like that, you know? When I set out, and by the way, like even growing up in Palm Springs, no one would have ever thought that I hung out or whatever. They just know me as being from my neighborhood days on up to trying to be, you know, one of the best in the world at something. They were like, those paths never crossed, because people did a lot of stuff in the neighborhood I grew up in, but it was never like something that I was ever even thought of, you know, never even fathomed like to have a situation like that involved in my career, and something I need to, you know, even worry about, because I was never that person. So, like I said, and that only came about because some people like my core was Flex, Rico, myself. It was us three, and then it became four because there was Paul Dillette. So when Paul Dillette came into our circle, it was just us four, and then we ate, slept, trained, ate, cardio, trained, slept, cardio, trained, worked all together. We never was apart. So when that started to slowly go apart, that's when other people started creeping in, and that's when everything started creeping into my life. So I think, that being said, that's when I was saying you got to watch your circle, because,
yeah,
you know, like I say, even if you're not that type of person, that shit can creep in just because you're friends with this person. And all of a sudden, oh, this is what they're doing. This was, you know, and the shit I was seeing happening behind all of that shit, I was like, oh shit, really? You know, so it's just that quick. I'm sure the same thing happened with Mike Tyson, you know. I'm sure of it.
So check this out. You know, you talked about Dorian giving you a pep talk, and I know there's a lot of really, really top guys back in your era that, and Ronnie Coleman being one of them, saying point blank, if Chris would have focused and paid attention to more detail, he probably could have been an Olympia also. What do you feel? Do you feel like if you'd stayed in that, if that group with you, Rico and Flex and Paul Dillette had stayed together, talk to us about what you think would have happened.
Yeah, I think for sure that would have happened. It's, you know, it's funny because people take steroids, take whatever they can take to get to make it to this level of excellence and of physical to where it's like they're just an Adonis and they're one of the best. And then there's also a form of almost like afraid. You're afraid of the success of what all that comes and what all comes with it, you know. And you do those. I just think, I'm not saying that I was, and I know people like Flex. We always dealt with little mental, little glitches that got into our program, to where it was like we didn't. That wasn't our goal, was to actually make it happen. But then when it was right there to happen, you know, are you willing to do those extra little things? You know, and that's the people that went as far as made the Olympia, Jay, Dexter, Ronnie, Dorian, Lee Haney.
Yeah,
those guys were able to do that, and I think that's what separates the actual number one from the number two. Definitely one of the top two or whatever. But I know there was a day where I actually had the top physique in the world. I don't know which actually what day that was. It may not even been a competition that day, but I know I had the best physique on the planet for sure.
And the best part is you were probably in the strip club all night the night before.
Yeah.
So
well, listen though, but to, you know, but also think about how many shows I did. I did like 73, 75 pro shows.
That's amazing.
A lot of shows.
And think about the hormones that are provided for you to do those shows. So think how horny you are most of the time doing those shows. Like you can't. How you gonna blame the one when it's like it came along with the job? You know, it was just like it was. And if you're already, you know, on the better side of testosterone as a good athlete, you're on the better side of testosterone normally. So, I mean, just think, you know, you putting gasoline on the fire, and then you're expecting whatever comes out of it, then, you know, it's like, oh, that's you. You know, like, right?
That's fucking great, brother. Shit. So if you were to, obviously there was the major distractions was, you know, the women, the drugs, obviously just the people in general. But if you had to say what was more distracting to your success, was it the women or was it the substance? Of course, they work hand in hand, but if you had to single one out,
because I think more of the different females that I was involved with was definitely way more. Because it was never. It's not. I mean, it wasn't like, oh man, it just everything came along with that. I mean, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll is all blurred together, right?
All tied into one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, but I had an amazing run because I was really close with Robbie Robinson when I was very young, 19, 20, 21. I'm training with Robbie Robinson already, and they were all teaching me, him and Gary Stridham. All these people was in my life pretty deep, to where I knew how to be a pro long before I was a pro. I was getting deep tissue massage done as a teenager. I was going through rounds and rounds and rounds of posing and training with the best of the best from a young age. So I knew it was going to happen because I knew I knew what I needed to know to get there before I got there. So I just feel like, I pressured the hell out of myself, and I was like, I'll do a show, and like, okay, if I don't place in the top 5, I'm not doing this no more. I need to go do something else. It was like strong pressure for me to do well, and it was, and when different sponsors came about, to where you had Joe Weider saying, hey, if each of you qualified, you need to do that show, and they kept asking me to do the Arnold Classic. So they kept asking me to do this show and that show. So I'm doing, like I said, 10 shows a year. I think that was the biggest thing that kept my mind, like, I'm so pressured to do all these shows, So I think just competing so much took its toll, Because a lot of people don't do 10 shows. A lot of these guys do 3-4 shows and they're going crazy. So just think about doing 5 shows over a 10-year period every 6 months.
Yeah.
With the best of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, you were always locking horns with the best. There was no in those days there was no easy show to go to.
No. Yeah.
That's and you said you competed over 70 times. I mean, that's amazing.
That's as a pro, but even as a teenager, I was doing the show every week at some time. I remember when I was 18, I did 10 shows in a year as a teenager. So it was just something that coming from a wrestling tournament and then have the next week having a bodybuilding tournament, I've done that stuff, when I was 18 like that. So it was, I was just staying super busy at what I love to do, and that was to compete. And even the people that I train today or help or mentor, I just let them know what my experiences was, and I've experienced a lot of different things on both sides of the coin. And I am happy to have helped people win world championships and national championships and USA championships and all these different things.
That's a huge
part of their journey. Yeah, man.
Yeah, no question. You become one of the top, in terms of coaching and just the advising and everything that comes to helping a competitor get to the top. You're at the top of the top of the game.
Sure.
Again, brother, which is, I mean, that's you. When you do something, you're going to get to the top, which is really fucking cool.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I got a quick question here in terms of your era. There's all sorts of talk about when you, like, your era of competing and level of conditioning versus today. You hear so many people, oh, the guys today just aren't conditioned like they were back in the day. And then you hear people say, oh, it's the drugs. Oh, it's people don't suffer. Oh, it's this. Let's hear the real deal's definition of what's going on here.
Well, I mean, it's easy to look at a generation and be like, hey, they didn't look like we did. And I'm sure the generation before myself was like Lee Haney, Leo Brada. There was people who are in the middle of that, like Sean Ray. He was like right there in the show that I was doing. But I actually met Sean in high school, so he was sort of like an equal in age, but he was still progressed a lot faster than we did. He was shorter than we were, so that has something to do with it. But I just think the look that they was having, we tried to emulate it, and I think insulin started to come into play. When that started, people started changing their look. This group of athletes, I feel like they're in awe of the vacuum, and we wasn't in awe of the vacuum. That's the new generation thing, because it was just part of just part of the program is to understand how to vacuum your stomach and all that stuff. It was just part of it. No one cared. Every time I did a vacuum, no one made a post about it. or anything like that, or a story about it. It was just part of it. And then this group of people got really into the striated glutes. A lot of these guys have striated glutes, but they don't have striations in the quads, but they do in the glutes. They don't have separation throughout they don't care about looking like an anatomy chart. They're just a bigger version of everything. Swollen, look like, just like a big, big muscles, big this and that. But I think we were just more into the detail at the time. I don't think you can say particularly. It just depends. And also, we had the symmetry round in our day. They don't have the symmetry round now. So you don't. Yeah. If you got to get ready for the symmetry round, you got some of these guys in first place already just from the symmetry alone. Second round was the musculator round. Third was the posing, and then there was the pose down. So we had 4 different categories. They only have 2 categories now. So it's muscularity, and then the posing, the pose down. So they don't. It's just a different game now. It's not a game where you're going there and do 5 different rounds of just quarter turns. Like, it's not the thing. Now you might be lucky to do a full set of quarter turns worn 1 time or 2 times in the show, when before we'll do it 7 times. So I think a lot of these different aspects changed what we're actually looking at.
Yeah. And now go a little further talking about the judging. I know the judging clearly has got to be leading a lot of this, because if they were rewarding what they were rewarding in your day, we'd be seeing different physiques. So what do you think about the judging?
Well, I mean, it's the same judges. It's the same judges I had when I was a teenager. And it's the same judges I had when I was in the national level and the pro level. It's the same people. So they know what they're looking at. The athletes themselves, they're showing up with this look or that look. It's not like they know what it is. They didn't forget, just like I didn't forget. But I don't lower my standards what I like to look at. So I don't, but I'm not gonna beat the guys down. And plus, before, you can talk any kind of way. No one cared. No one cared about who said whatever, how they put it. But now you can't talk like that these days. So you just gotta like. I just try to be supportive of the people. You know what my thing is now? If you look like you work hard, I'm a fan of what you're doing. I'm a fan of that. You working hard and you look like you work hard, I'm a fan of that. No matter what the shape or the size of it, I just want to see people who look like they fucking put it down in the gym. Yeah. So, and that's what I think you need to try to focus on more as this next generation is a lot of people want to see what you're taking, what they take, how much it was. I don't think that's the standpoint of what you should be focusing on. I think you should focus on how can I make myself better in the gym? How can I develop this part of my physique? How can I sharpen my posing? How can I sharpen and get with the people who's done that to the point to where they, kind of mastered it, because it got watered down to some person is teaching. You taught this person, that person trying to teach somebody else that same day or that same week. And then it's just getting watered down information from how many coaches did we have back then? How many coaches do we have now?
Yeah.
And these coaches, some are mad scientist people. Some people some people never coached a day never competed a day in their life, but they're some of the coaches that people are paying to coach them. We didn't have that situation, and we tried to help each other a lot of times back then. Like we're on tour. I'm with Kevin LeBron, Dexter Jackson, people like that. We can go to each other's room and help us put protein on each other's back. But now you won't see that person. No one talks. They won't even be talking to where you can't even get any type of help or any type of information, because I know people was doing trade secrets, back then, depending on how good you were, is how people would talk to you. If you were really good and they were like, oh, you might beat me, then someone might be not so easy to give you some information or some type of help of what can make you, would allow you to beat them. But nowadays, I think it's just everyone is, it's just a little different pack of people now, But I feel like for the most part, if they, I don't know. I just don't. It's not like they're not dieting, because I didn't have those type of ripped up glutes like that. That wasn't my look, but that was never my goal, because I was on tour with people who was not there anymore. I was on tour with Munzer, beat Munzer many times, but
that guy was always shredded. Always.
Yeah, but that was
just paper thin skin all the time.
Yeah, but when people would pass something like that, I'd be like, hey, that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for a healthy Lee Haney style looking physique. I'm healthy. I can cut. I got striations. I got shape. I just need some little bit more fullness, and then I'm gonna go and compete. But that's the look I was going for. I was never trying to be the most ripped guy in any stage. That was never my goal.
Yeah, yeah. It was really interesting to hear your take about all these different generations and all the different influence, which then kind of changes the look as time goes on. That's a great perspective. Another question I'm really want your take on is, what is your perspective? What are your thoughts on all of there's been a whole lot of death in bodybuilding in a real short period of time. Give us your take on that.
Like say
another one today.
For instance, when I was in the hospital for the spinal infection, that's what derailed the whole thing. And I fought back and forth mentally about the mind fuck that comes along with not being able to do what your goal was all your life, and not be able to do it anymore, not be able to compete anymore. And then the doctor, I remember he was telling me, he said, Chris, you got the largest heart I ever seen in my entire life. And he said, that's not good. I was like 295 pounds at the time. And he was like, I was like, at the time, I got this warrior attitude, like, but this is what I do, I don't.
Yeah, Doc, this is what I do, man.
This is what I do. Yeah, I want to go out on my shield. I want to go out on my shield. Fuck it,
Yeah.
And then he was, and I was like, you have a dangerous job too, Doc. You might get a life-threatening disease at any given time in this hospital, but you do it. And he was like, yeah, that's true. I said, yeah, so this is what I do, But as a couple of years, after that time went on, I felt like I was in a bubble I was still in that same bubble. Like, I was smoking weed in the hospital. Like, I was definitely in a bubble that wasn't right. like I would do things.
What are they saying when you're smoking weed in the hospital? What is
that?
The
good thing is you get my
wife. This is a shit that this is the real deal shit right here, brother. I love it. Smoking dope in the hospital.
And so then when I said, I freaked out when I came out of the coma. I was in the coma for like a month and a half. I came out and I was like, dude, I need to get out of this hospital. Like, I need to get out. So I actually checked myself out through the infection and went to a hotel for about a week. And that's when I was like, man, I just want to play my PlayStation, and I just want to chill and just like get out of it. Because I have claustrophobia, because just from wrestling from from the stand in the saunas with all these guys trying to cut weight and all this stuff, I developed a strong case of I can't be in these small spaces like that. I'm just like so crazy. And so I was getting claustrophobic in the hospital. I felt like the walls were coming down and the ceiling was getting low on me. I said I had to get out of there. So then I came back. When I came back, then they had a security guard watching me all the time, and I had to share a room with this guy who was a little prejudiced old guy that was popping the N-word every 5 minutes.
Oh,
and
fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And shitting on himself. Oh my God. Popping the N-word. And I was like, man, I'm just like, Jesus. I'm just like whipping my curtains back, talking to me. I'm like, leave me the fuck alone, dude. I'm trying to do my time to get out of here, right?
Jesus.
So I was so at that time, but back to what I was saying, to have a person tell me, and my heart was actually large, and I stand a chance of maybe having a heart attack, and still not, understanding the warning signs of that, then I think a lot of that goes on to this day. So fast forward into we've been through this pandemic the last couple of years. Who knows exactly what's happening with that? So is it the pandemic? Is it some of the stresses from the pandemic? Is it the people with heart issues? I've seen a lot of athletes in a whole passing away, not just bodybuilders, but I think it's been really sensitive because we have a small group of people in this community to where now, you got to question what it is. Is it something we signed up for years ago, and the chickens just coming home to roost, or is it got to do with the pandemic? Who knows? But I know a lot of us signed up for that, to where you might shave some years off your life. That's just part of what people signed up for, I think.
It's the reality of the situation.
But when you're a lot heavier than what you actually should be carrying for your age and your whatever, I mean, you got to be having a close relationship with a doctor, making sure you're okay, making sure everything's working right, got the right blood flow, circulation, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what. I don't know who's getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated. Doesn't make a difference. Are you rolling a dice with that or not? I don't know, but it's been an awful lot. It's been really, and then even like when they had this fake death with Victor Richards, that was kind of fucked up.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, because someone did that to me. Someone did that to me years ago when I was living in Vegas. But I was just so happened I went to Vegas. I lived in Vegas, but I was also staying and training in LA. So I went to LA. I went to Vegas one night around 12 midnight. I started driving, and I got there around 4. Instead of going to my place in Southern Highlands, I kept going into the city, and then I went straight to what is this place called? Dre's. So I ended up going straight to Dre's, and then from Dre's, I went to a hotel room party, and that's where I ended up, going to sleep. It's like I woke up the next morning with like 250 phone calls in my phone, 250 missed calls, and someone said I had passed away. That they said I went to Vegas and I never showed up, and something must have happened to me. They just considered me dead. So they called my family. Everyone thought I was actually dead.
Oh my gosh!
When I was just like,
holy shit!
It was just a miss, huh?
Holy shit!
Yeah, that happened to me once or twice in the sport, where people said, "Yeah, Chris is dead," and this and that. And also, the second time was when I was in the coma. I think people were selling my cars and doing all kinds of crazy shit back then when they thought I was not going to make it through the coma, you know?
That goes right back to you saying that you got the wrong people around you, man. They're fire sailing your shit the moment they think you're checking out.
Fucking awards missing, all kinds of shit's missing.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Crazy. So, brother, as we kind of turn, you know, you spoke of earlier in your, I think it was early in your movie, you talked about you actually at one point you were homesick because you missed your mom. You got a great relationship with your mom. And myself, I'm a fucking straight up mama's boy, so I understand that completely. You know, I'm still to this day a mama's boy. You know, and obviously anytime our moms find out that we've been up to no good, it fucking breaks our hearts. What was it like for you when your mom finally basically kind of when she kind of let you know that, hey, I know what's been going on.
Oh, it was shocking. It was shocking because you think you're getting over. You think you're like smarter than the average bear type of person, and they don't know that at their age they don't know, but they know.
They know darn well.
She had you. She knows everything about you. She knows every movement, every facial expression. She knows everything about you. You cannot fool your parents for sure. That is a no. You just can't do it. People think you can, and they think you think growing up, they don't know what they're talking about. But even my dad was like, man, I had to pretend I was all pissed off at you when I would see it. I was like, I would have been doing the same shit too. He said, you're going there and pretend I was pissed off at you because my mother would be mad at you.
Your mom comes home and says, I went in Chris's house and there was naked people all over that stuff. You know,
because they were cleaning up.
And your dad inside going, yes, boy, go get him.
Yeah, my boy was
Yeah. I actually kind of know what that's like because I caught my boy with his girlfriend.
Right.
Had to give him a little bit of lecture.
That's it.
But then kind of like the fist bump on the way down. My wife's sitting there losing her mind.
Yeah, boy,
just screaming and yelling.
I wouldn't be doing that if I were you.
Oh shit! That's too fucking funny, brother. That is fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, brother, I got to tell you, we really appreciate you coming on. But before we go, there's one thing that I want to ask you in terms of, you. I mean, what you've done is amazing. Not to mention how you've done it with the distractions you've had, and you've had such a positive influence on the sport in general, and now as a coach, even more so. Like I said, anything you choose to do, you do it, and you do it all the way, and you become great at it, which is amazing. So, what is Chris Cormier's legacy? What is it that when it's all over, when you're gone, what is it that you want to be remembered for?
Well, I mean, I started out. People doubted me the whole time. Was I able to do it? Was I able to be that person that I wanted to be in the sport? Was I able to accomplish, winning as many shows as I won and persevering through all the stuff, the good and the bad. I mean, even taking second in the Arnold Classic 6 years in a row wasn't easy to deal with mentally, but I found myself, coming back time after time trying to win that show. I think, being able to go full circle as far as me promoting the Chris Comeir Classic, which is May 21st of this year in Milwaukee.
Nice.
My fourth one. So that's a whole nother enjoyment for me to give back to the sport that gave me everything. And that's why it's hard for me to hear people talking bad about the sport, because no one made anyone do what they did to get to this point. No one made you.
Yes.
You wanted to do this. Don't talk shit and still trying to make money off it while you're talking shit about it. You're still trying to get clients, but you're still talking shit because you didn't get what you wanted out of it. You know, and that's one thing I pride myself on, not trying to blame anybody for anything that I did or chose to do. I had the opportunity to compete all around the world, meet so many people, so many good people, and just, you know, like I said, promoting. Also, I want to promote more. I want to get some shows in other countries. I want to do even more so. So I'm not there yet. Also want to teach what I've learned in the last 30 some years, almost 40 years now, in the gym, you know, through some affordable ways to do so, but it's going to be a give and take, but affordable ways to do so. And just to be like, this is the way it's a blueprint to make all this stuff happen. You just have to follow the blueprint, and you will succeed on your own, in your own lane in your physique. I can't make everyone look like Ronnie Coleman or make everyone look like Jay Cutler, but for yourself, I know I can change your look or improve it to the best of your ability or that individual's ability. And also, so once all that's done, then I can feel like, I'm at the end of the race that I started many years ago. But I'm not done till I do all those things. But I still want to continue on with the Chris Comeir Classic, hopefully in China, hopefully in Brazil, and hopefully another part of America. But that's my goal right now. That's what I want to leave behind, that legacy.
That's really cool, brother. Well, like I said, man, you've affected a lot of people here, and you're still doing it, and now you're doing it in a way where you can take people that are coming in and you can give them your knowledge, and your knowledge is priceless, brother. So I got to say, this was so much fun having you on. We're going to definitely have to do another episode with you if you're cool with it, because hell, all we did was bullshit and talk about the crazy stuff. Hell, we didn't even talk much about competing and a whole lot of other stuff. So yeah, we'll definitely do it again in the future.
For sure,
Nick, you got
man. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Yeah, Nick, you got anything else for Chris before we go?
No, it was just an absolute pleasure doing this with you, and I'm just glad I don't have to tackle you. I'm good with that. Once was plenty. So thank you so much for everything, and it's Thanks, amazing guys. What the kids are going to be able to learn from you. So thank you.
Oh, for sure. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, man. Good to see you, brother. Always good to see you, Nick, man. Like you always greet me with a smile and a big old hug every time I see you. So I appreciate that, man. Not forgetting about the little bro, and man.
That's it. Well, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for another edition of Legends of Iron. We will see you next time.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by MuscleMeds. MuscleMeds is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.